Welcome, AP students. I want to walk through the exam day experience for you today, or at least the best as I understand the exam day experience with what I've heard from the College Board. So some of this, again, is going to be a repeat of some things I've said before. Some of it's going to go into a little bit more depth, but I just want to maybe tell you a little bit more detail about what's going to happen on exam day. First of all, prior to exam day, you need to make sure you've gathered together everything you need. And this is actually a slide from the last video, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but as you are a couple of days out from the exam, make sure that you get that e-ticket, make sure you've gone through the checklist, make sure you've got your device and browser and internet connection and all that's working. If you are going to write out your responses, make sure you have your paper. You can go ahead and put your ID at the top and your initials at the top. Same thing if you're going to type in Google Docs, make sure you've got your ID and your initials at the top. Go ahead and save those documents so that on test day, all you have to do is just open that file and it'll be there. Make sure you've got a calculator, make sure your batteries are good. Make sure that if you're going to use notes or study guides, that you've got those handy and available. In stats, especially, make sure you've got your reference sheet, your formula sheet, as well as the tables. You'll need the z-score table. You'll need the t-table. You won't need the chi-squared table, but you will need those other two, and make sure you know how to use those. And then finally, again, just the mention of the shared docs. If you're putting together a document with somebody else with AP review, that's great, but just make sure you have a personal copy when it goes time to take the exam. As far as your testing situation, make sure you have limited your distractions as much as you can. Make sure you're away from everybody else. Make sure you've got plenty of room. Make sure you've got good lighting. Make sure you've got good internet. Make sure you've got an outlet available. If I were you, I'd go ahead and plug in my Chromebook, even if it's got a full battery, just to be sure. Let everybody know that you're testing and not to disturb you for the next hour, hour and a half, whatever. So just make sure everybody's aware of that. People in your house and also your other contacts that might be trying to get in touch with you through your phone or whatever. So just make sure everybody's aware of that. And also, if you are in a place where you have limited bandwidth, I would ask everybody else to just be off the internet at that point. Don't try to stream Netflix and take your AP test at the same time. You don't need it slowing it down like that. So as far as the test goes, the window for your test will open a half an hour before the actual test starts. So what I'm saying is that you're going to get your e-ticket 2 days in advance. If you click the link on the e-ticket 2 days in advance, it's going to probably tell you that you can't enter the test at this point. But at 1:30, you'll be able to start entering that test room. And you'll have to go through some security before you actually get to the test. And so try to log in as close as you can to 1:30. The security is not going to take you half an hour. It may take you 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know for sure, but I expect it won't take you much longer than 5 or 10 minutes. But try to start that at 1:30 so that you're through it and you're just sitting there and you're waiting, and you can kind of relax and look back over your notes and so forth before you actually have to take the test at 2 o'clock. Make sure that you have your AP ID whenever you're getting ready to take your test, because you will need that. That'll be part of the security. And you'll also, if you don't have it on your documents already, you'll need to make sure you have it on those documents. Don't use your back button or your refresh screen once you've got into the testing room. The test will start automatically. Whenever it gets to be 2 o'clock or whatever time that they decide, it will pop up with the first question so that you can start. Don't try to refresh it on your own. You don't need to do that. You can go ahead, though, and open your other windows that you're going to have for your responses, or open more tabs if you want for your Google Docs if you're going to be typing, or if you've got some kind of reference sheet online that you want to use. Make sure that you have that stuff. Go ahead and open that while you're waiting. Keep in mind, you may need to scroll down through the question to see all the parts. So don't just think that when you see 2 parts, that's it. Make sure you scroll and make sure that's actually all the parts, and use those parts as a guide to organizing your work. Remember, somebody's got to grade this work, and so you need to make it easy for them. So make sure for your work for part A, put part A or A, and then show all your work, and then put B and show all your work. If you skip a part, you can write that letter down and just leave it blank, but don't get part B with part C and so forth. Keep your work nice and organized so whoever's grading it has an easy time of grading it. Keep in mind that the questions may be longer than what you can actually complete in that time frame. That's okay. What they've said is they may give you more parts just because they're trying to give you as many ways as possible to show that you know what you're doing. And so they may give you 7 parts. And if you only get 4 of them completed, as long as you do them well, that may be enough. You don't have to complete every part to pass or even to get a 5. So just keep that in mind. Focus on what you know while you're taking the test. Don't panic about the things you don't. Don't stress out about those things. Focus on what you know. Go through and do the parts you know, then go back and do the parts that you think you know, and so forth. Use good test taking strategies. Make sure that you press submit before the timer runs out. There's a timer on your screen. It will turn red with 5 minutes to go. That's your signal that you better start getting things wrapped up and getting ready to submit. If you're taking pictures, you'll have to get your pictures taken. You'll have to get them uploaded, and you'll have to all hit submit before that time. So, and what I mean by uploaded is uploaded to your G Drive or whatever if you're taking them from your phone. You don't have to have the whole thing submitted before the time runs out. Okay, you just have to hit that submit button. Keep in mind that if you're taking pictures, you can only have 5 pictures, 1 page per picture, so keep that in mind. You will hit submit once for each session. So at the end of section 1, you'll hit submit, and then at the end of section 2, you'll hit submit. But again, in both cases, you have to hit that submit button before the timer runs out. And like I said, the uploads will take place in the background. So as long as you've attached the file and you've hit submit, it will be uploading in the background. And even if the time runs out, that's okay. You just have to have hit that submit button before that timer runs out. So at the end of your test, that means don't close your browser until you get that confirmation that the upload is complete, because it may still be uploading even after you've finished the test and after the times run out for the test. It may still be working in the background to upload that document. So don't close your browser, because then it won't get uploaded and you won't be able to grade it. So keep that in mind. As far as security, this is not a comprehensive list, but you want to look at that guide to get all the details, but make sure that you do not incorporate any work that is not your own. Okay, do not receive aid from anybody, any kind, from anyone, no help from anybody. Don't use shared documents. Don't go to any discussion boards, chat rooms, or anything else while testing. So if you do a Google search, be very careful on what you click to, that you don't accidentally go to a discussion board or a chat room. Don't post questions or don't post your responses, obviously. Again, look at that review book that I've linked on Canvas to see all of the testing and security procedures. And as I've talked about before, if there's not a policy on it, that means there's no policy, but you need to be aware of all the different policies. And if you happen to know somebody that has cheated, you need to make sure report that to the College Board. It's an anonymous report, but there's the address if you need to do that. And there's an extensive list of what they're going to do for cheating, but basically you're going to get your scores canceled. They're going to report it to whatever colleges that you may be sending your scores to, and maybe others too. I don't know. It'll be recorded at College Board. There may be something that happens down the line with that, with maybe SAT test or something like that for those of you that are underclassmen. So they're taking this seriously, so you need to take it seriously as well. And then, of course, if something goes wrong during the exam, first of all, if you're just kicked off during the exam, if your internet does a little hiccup and kicks you off, if you click on the e-ticket, it should reopen the test for you. Okay, so that's if something is very short. Now, keep in mind, if that happens continuously, if that happens and you're knocked off for 10 minutes and you're not able to test for 10 minutes, that you can request a makeup for that. So if something happens and your testing time is shortened significantly, then keep in mind to use that e-ticket to request your makeup. You can have a makeup if you're sick, if you get sick in the middle of the test, if you have some kind of technology issue with the internet or with your computer, if your power goes out for some reason, if you have some kind of distraction with the family at that point, any of those things are reasons that they will give you a makeup. But you have to go online to collegeboard.org, request makeup within 48 hours to make that known. You will need your e-ticket when you're requesting that makeup. Keep in mind, though, just simply running out of time is not grounds for a makeup. So if you didn't get through all the parts of the problem, they're not going to just let you have a makeup if you say, well, I just didn't get to all the parts. That's not acceptable reason. But those other reasons are up there. So they will let you know by May 25th if you will be able to have the makeup. And the makeup day is June 1st at 4 p.m. for calculus and June 4th at 4 p.m. for stats. But you want to go ahead and do that practice exam, the one that's online, that exam demo. Make sure you do that before test day, because that's going to let you know if you have some of these technology issues that need to be ironed out. So make sure you go there with the device that you're going to use on test day and get that kind of stuff taken care of before your test. So anyway, today you're going to be working on some more AP review problems. And again, it's set up like it was the other day. You will have 4 questions or 4 attempts at each question. And after the first attempt, you'll get a couple of hints. And after the second attempt, you may get a couple more hints. After the third attempt, it'll say show answer at the bottom, and you can actually show the answers for those parts and then use that to make sure you get the question right. But don't just go on and say, oh, well, whatever. If there's an answer you don't understand where it comes from, and I've tried to type in explanations so that you can hopefully understand what I'm saying. But, if for some reason it doesn't make sense, or if I didn't type an explanation in for that one, go to that discussion board that's on the Canvas site and say, hey, I didn't understand how to do problem number 2A, and I will try to explain it some more on the discussion board. And that way everybody will have access to that explanation. So please use those discussion boards if you have any questions. But you are working on some more AP problems today, so you're going to be studying a little bit more. Again, if you are finding things that you want to keep track of, make sure you just keep a separate paper somewhere and write those things down so you'll have an easy way to access those when it comes time for test day. All right, so continue to reach out to me. Good luck as you're getting ready for your AP exam today.